All right, so now that you've come back, you've maybe tried one of the easy level problems or the ones that are already set up for elimination for you. But in this one, if you try adding, what happens? Don't do this, it's not right. If you try adding these two equations together, it's already all lined up. I've got my x's together, my y's together, my equal signs are lined up, and these are. Don't do this, it's not correct. But what happens if I add? I didn't eliminate an x. It just became 9x. I didn't eliminate the y. They added together. There's 7y's. And I didn't eliminate any variables. So I need to not do this. This is not helping me. So we're going to erase that. You need to make something eliminate. And we know from algebra that we are allowed to do things to both sides of an equation. And one of those things is you can multiply both the equations by, say, 4. Both sides of the equation by 4. So I looked here, and I happened to notice that in this like term column of 3 and 6, I happened to notice that, hey, if I just multiply 3 by 2, that's also 6. Now that doesn't quite eliminate. I need it to be negative 6. So if I had one of those be negative 6 and one of them be positive 6x, I could add them together and it would go away. So I went, all right, I'm going to try that. I'm going to multiply this first equation because that's a legal math move. I'm going to multiply that first equation by negative 2. I expect to see that in your work so that I know what you did to that equation. I multiplied this equation by negative 2, so that I'm going to do that. So that first one, if I multiply it by negative 2, is now negative 6x, which is really nice because that bottom one, I'm just going to copy this, is 6x. Now, I'm going to copy that whole bottom of the equation just now. Then I'm going to go back and talk about this multiplying by negative 2. So I see now that I made a good choice, that if I multiply this top one by negative 2, it's negative 6x. The bottom one has a positive 6x. Those two are going to eliminate when I add in step 3. That's the whole idea of elimination. Make two terms, like terms, that will eliminate. And you have to maybe multiply and use some algebra to do that first. Now, it's not so simple as just changing that first one to a negative 6, because if you multiply an equation by negative 2, you have to multiply the whole equation by negative 2, right? So you have to distribute. You have to use the distributive property. So that negative 6x is changed, but so is the 5y. You have to change that. Negative 2 times 5y makes negative 10y. It was positive. We multiplied by a negative, so now it's minus negative. Okay, now you also have to distribute and multiply every single term, including the other side of the equation. Negative 5 times negative 2 makes positive 10. I multiplied every single term by negative 2. I changed the entire equation by doing legal algebra to both sides of the equations. Multiply by negative 2, multiply by negative 2, multiply by negative 2, and now I have a new equation for that top thing. It is the same, it just looks different. Now, so we had it all lined up to begin with. We multiplied one or both of the equations. We multiplied just one this time. We multiplied the top one by negative 2 so that one set of like terms, the x's, would eliminate. Now we're going to add, because now these x's are set up to eliminate. Negative 6x plus 6x eliminates. One has to be positive and one has to be negative for them to eliminate when you add. Now, add the rest. That's negative 8y equals negative 16. When I add this column, I get 10 minus 26 is negative 16. Negative 10y plus 2y. Well, that is in fact negative 8y. So now divide both sides by negative 8. Negative divided by a negative is a positive 2, and I get y equals positive 2. So now I know one of my answers. Y is 2. Okay, so we substituted, we added the two equations and we solved for that remaining variable. I eliminated x, so my remaining variable was y. I only have y left. I solved for y. Okay, I got y is 2. Now we're going to substitute that answer we know now into either equation. I'm picking this bottom one, mostly because the bottom one is positive and it's just close. There's no good reason. You just pick one. You could pick the top one if you like. Plus 2 times 2, right? I know that my y is 2, so I'm going to go up here and put it in for 2. Put it in for y equals negative 26. Oops, negative 26. Now my page is looking very messy. Sorry. 6x, and now I do my math. 2 times 2 is 4 equals negative 26. Oops. Now subtract 4 from both sides. that gives me negative 30. Negative 26 minus 4 is negative 30. Divide by 6. My stylus isn't want to write for me now, of course, because that would be too easy. Okay, so I get my x. Hey, x is negative 5. Now I've got both my answers. Now you're not done until you write your answer as a coordinate pair. I'm going to try my other stylus, see if that helps. Okay, so my answer when we put it all together is negative 5 for x and 2 for y. That is the point on the graph, if you graphed these, that these would intersect. You can check your answer by substituting into both equations, just like we did with guess and check, and see if it works. I'll let you try that, as this answer is correct. Now in the next one, our equations are not lined up. That's step 1 right here. We have to move the terms around so that they are lined up. Like if I look in this first column, it's got an x and a y. Same with this next one, it's got a y and then a 5x. Our equal signs are good, and the constant terms, the numbers are all lined up. So I'm going to write this down below in black so I know that it's my original problem. The first one, I'm just going to recopy. Okay. A system is a set of 2 or more equations, so you've got to write both over again. I know it's kind of annoying, but you got to do it anyway. All right, now in this one, I need to get the x's in front and the y's behind. Make sure you keep the signs with each of those things. And then we copy down our negative 6. Looks fantastic. Now, once they're lined up, I look to add them and I go, those add up to 6x. That doesn't eliminate. When I go to add, those look like 1y plus 2y. That's 3y. Those don't eliminate and cancel out the y's. So I need to do something more. I need to do this step 2, multiply one or both. We're just going to multiply one. That's what a level 2 problem is, just one of them multiply, to eliminate one set of variables. It doesn't matter if you try to eliminate the x or the y. It doesn't matter, just one of them. You just got to get rid of one. So if I look at this first equation up here, I notice if I multiply this by negative 5, they'd have negative 5 and 5. You could multiply. That's fine. If I multiply this one by negative 2, I have negative 2y and 2y. Those also eliminate. You can choose which one you do. It doesn't matter. I'm going to choose the y because we did x in the last problem, just to show you can do it with y. So I'm going to multiply both equations by negative 2. Because I notice when I do that, I'm going to get negative 2x. You got to distribute to everything. That's the important part. Minus 2y equals the negative 6. I multiplied the entire top equation by negative 2. The next equation, I'm not writing anything by my arrow. Notice I wrote that I multiplied by negative 2 on my arrow, so I knew what I did. And the bottom one, I'm going to leave it the same because I have my y's now able to eliminate. You don't need to multiply the bottom equation. Now that I multiplied the top equation by negative 2, those y's are going to cancel out. We got a 2 and a negative 2y. Done. They cancel. So I multiplied one or both equations to eliminate one set, and those of like terms, our y's are going to eliminate this time. So now we get to add the 2 equations together and solve for whatever's left. So here I go. I'm going to add the 2 equations together. Our 2y minus 2y, our negative 2y plus 2y, same deal. They're going to eliminate. I don't need to write them. It's 0. Negative 2x plus 5x is 3x. Negative 6 minus negative 6, that's negative 12. Oh, now I divide and solve for that variable that didn't eliminate. The remaining variable in this one was x. I got x equals 4. I got an answer. Done. But now my step 4 is to substitute into either equation. It doesn't matter which one, top or bottom. You can use these ones or you can use the ones you rearranged. It does not matter. And then you can solve for the last variable. So I'm going to put it into this one just because it's the bottom. There's no other reason than that. It actually might be easier to solve in that one. But put in negative 4 plus 2y equals negative 6. I got negative 20 plus 2y equals negative 6. When I add 20 to both sides, I get 2y equals, and I got to move this up. I'm losing space at the bottom of my iPad here, equals 14. So y equals 7. Hey, I got the answer. So now I think my answer is negative 4 comma 7. You can put these back into both equations. Remember, they have to work in both. So if I put negative 4 in here for x, I get and plus 7. Negative 4 plus 7 is in fact 3. It works in that one. And if I put 7 in this, I get 14. If I put negative 4 in for the x, I get negative 20. 14 minus 20 is negative 6. So I checked it just by quickly doing that in my head, but you can write it out if you like. So you can double check your answers. So that's a level 2 equation. I would go and do 1 or 2 of those problems on the next set. That would be number 4 through 4, 5, or 6. Do 1 or 2 and then come back and try your level 3 equations.